Good Friday morning, friends. Welcome back for another edition of the Finding God in the Dark podcast. My name is Don,
And I am Jonathan.
and today we are talking about we are beginning a series about 4 weeks or so, focusing on films about generosity and giving in particular, because this is traditionally the time of year when we talk about stewardship in our churches. So we kind of wanted to come alongside of that with what we're doing in the podcast. So today we're talking about really kind of the granddaddy of all those films about generosity and giving. And if it hasn't been given away by Jonathan's background quite just yet, we are talking about the 1946 Frank Capra film, It's a Wonderful Life, which is a wonderful film, one of my all-time favorites. So I was just thrilled to talk about this one. Stars Donna Reed and Jimmy Stewart and Lionel Barrymore, kind of the biggest names you'll recognize in this film. Um, and it is okay. I want to throw out a disclaimer at the beginning, or maybe not disclaimer, but just you know,
Yeah.
a what. If you plan to watch this or have not, seen it in a while, you're going to watch it on streaming. Now, I have it on DVD. I didn't pull out the DVD. I went for the streaming service. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
But on Amazon Prime, it is an abridged version.
You can actually get the I watched the entire one. You
Okay.
can get that, but the one they push it toward is the edited version.
Yeah, the abridged version, which okay, you get the story, you get, George's story, George Bailey's story up to when he meets Clarence the Angel,
Yeah.
and he says to Clarence, you can't help me unless you got $8,000, right?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to George discovering that he did have a one. It cuts out the whole section of, what his life would have been like, or what the
I
world would have been like if he hadn't lived.
I wondered what the edit was. That's a stupid edit.
Most insane edit. That's the whole point of the
For
movie.
the movie.
The whole point of the movie is what would the world be like if you had never been in it?
And
Okay.
why would you it's literally a little under 2 hours. It's not like it's a 3 hour movie.
I know. I had to go back, like it made that jump, right? From, Clarence, you can't help me unless you have $8,000 to movie house. Hello, like running through the streets of Bedford Falls in the snow. And I'm going, wait a minute. I had to scroll back to make sure that I saw what it did. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I saw that and then I was like, I'm not watching the edited one. So
Yeah, okay. And look, I didn't here's my apology here. I didn't go back and watch it again. Look, I watch this film every year, at least once every year around Christmas. So it is ingrained in my memory. I can recite the lines as they're coming off the screen. So
that's a crazy edit. I mean,
that
that
is,
is just
I'm telling you, if you've got Prime, just for the entertainment purposes, just put it on and then scroll to the part where he meets Clarence and watch that jump and go, wait, what? If you've
you know,
never seen it before, you're going to be completely confused. Well, why is he so happy now?
it's funny. I keep trying not to laugh because the way my Zoom has it set up, you're on top of me, so it literally looks like Donna Reed and the kids are hugging you.
No, mine's side by side, and the recording is
You
side by
are Jimmy
side.
Stewart, buddy. In my view, you're Jimmy Stewart.
Well, I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog. All right, let's talk about the film.
Uh, yeah.
Where do you want to start on it, John?
Yeah, there's a lot of I to me I've used this several times after learning this story. I've used this several times when talking about this film and talking about hope and how God works and all these kind of things. Is um, Jimmy Stewart was suffering with or dealing with, I shouldn't say suffering with, dealing with PTSD from he had served in World War II as a bomber
Mhm.
and had had some very harrowing experiences. and he was still struggling with that after he come back. They literally filmed this in 45, so like really after the war. Um, and he was, of course, in that time we didn't understand that. We oftentimes viewed it as weakness. We didn't realize uh, that this was a legitimate condition people had. And what I thought was fascinating was Stewart later talked about how this movie helped him process a lot of stuff. And also, especially in the scene in the bar, um, Jimmy Stewart is going through for lack of a better term, a panic attack, and Frank Capra decides to roll with it and to continue to film. And so the anxiety and the haggardness and um, the kind of impinging of fear and anxiety was actually part of his life at the time, which I just think is fascinating when you think about this film. And then the fact that he credits it as one of the ways he was able to kind of process it and get through kind of the darkest days of it, I think is just a powerful testimony to this film. Um,
And I mean that scene, you can
yeah,
the angst is palpable in that
yeah,
scene where
yeah,
he is just like he's left the house, he doesn't know what's going to happen. The Uncle Billy lost the money, and folks, if we're giving anything away about this film right now, okay, this film is older than most of our audience.
yes, yes. I mean, literally, my father was two when it was released. So literally, yeah. I'm sorry, no spoiler alerts on it, like a
Any
80-year
spoiler
old film.
alerts on this one?
Um,
Indeed. But like I said, he's sitting at that bar and you can
yeah,
just see it, like you can feel the angst in it, and you're thinking either, like you've mentioned, something else is going on,
yeah.
or man, he's an incredible actor.
Well, and I don't want to discount his performance because he was willing to stay in character. He could have just
Hmm.
walked off the set.
Yeah,
Um, but to me, I think why this film continues to resonate is we live in a society, even though it's radically different than 40 in the 40s, obviously, we still live in a society that pushes this idea of your worth is wrapped up in where you go, who your friends are, how much money you have, how much you achieve.
yeah,
And this movie really wants to cut against the idea that that's where we find our worth.
yep,
That our worth is the relationships we build, our worth is the support and the love we give to other people, the community we help strengthen. That's where our worth is. And to me, I don't know if you noticed, but Amazon actually lists it as a religious slash spiritual film,
I didn't catch that. No.
which I thought was fascinating because it isn't a movie aimed that way. But I would argue it's a very succinct kind of argument about how Christianity usually looks at what life is, what gives life meaning is the community you form around yourself, the people you help, the people you serve, the way you're able to uplift others. That is what he does, and the point of the movie is he is, as the last one of the last lines of the movie, he's the richest man in town, not because he's wealthy in the material sense, but because he has done what a human being is called to do, which is create community, love other people, serve other people, and bind people together. And that's what he's done.
Yeah, yeah, and I mentioned it, I think in our exchange, um, kind of via text message. What I said. Um, Yeah, I said I hadn't watched it just yet. This was a couple days ago. I've seen it so many times I could almost recite the dialogue from memory. Got to watch it with a box of tissues.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
really, if you are even a little, you know, emotional at the moment, this film will wring you out. It,
yeah,
it really will. But I mean in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. It is I have said it before, and if my buddy Scott watches this, he's heard me say this. We agree on this that in the canon of filmmaking in this country, this is very close to a perfect film.
Yeah,
In that it just touches all the right points about humanity, about taking care of one another, about being generous. I mean, look, George Bailey gives up his honeymoon
yeah,
for, okay, it is to keep the building and loan open. No, it's really to take care of the people that the building and loan provides for.
yeah,
you know when there's a run on the bank, he keeps the building loan open. He gives up his college, going off to college and traveling, and his brother goes in his place, that sort of thing. It, it's almost, and I'm going to bring in a much more modern film here,
yeah,
but it's almost that the theology of Spike Lee.
yeah,
No matter what you do, always do the right thing. And George Bailey always seems to do the right thing. Even though, there's those moments like he gets angry with Uncle Billy, you silly old man, what'd you do with the money?
yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of thing. But
And he gets mad at his family, and like that's a powerful scene.
mhm,
Um, yeah, I just there was so much in this that I'm it's been a while since I've watched it fully, and just from the start of like the idea of the power of prayer, why we pray,
mhm,
because we think God does listen to us. And, even though it's a little comical how they do it, they have this kind of back and forth between what you assume is God and like a head angel. But this
right.
idea of we pray because we think God is active in the world, touching and working and trying to make things better. And so that's a beautiful idea. And then, you have this, it's interesting because you have a critique here of kind of the excesses of capitalism and and
Sure.
and this idea, because I remember once, there's a lot of stuff that frustrates me about Ben Shapiro, but he did a movie review of this movie, and he critiques that the real hero of the movie is Mr. Potter, because he really gets the economics right. And I remember watching that, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
No, all right. Look, I like Ben Shapiro, but he'd be wrong on that. That's not. I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Mr. Potter is in no way, shape, or form the hero of this film.
but just this idea of um the what like it's actually in scripture. It's, I believe it's First Peter, but all of our gifts were given to us for the common good. And
Mhm.
that line has always stuck with me since I've read it. Is, what we have, all the money you have, all the resources you have, all the skills you have been given to you primarily to build up everybody else and to make this planet and this world a better place. How are you using it to do that?
Yeah.
And to me, that's very Christian. That's very Wesleyan. And
Well, it's Judeo-Christian. I mean, it
yeah,
comes from Judaism, right? You are
yeah,
blessed to be a blessing,
yes, yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
Yeah, like a lot of Christians get that passage in Genesis with Abraham so wrong. We Christians sometimes will go like, the Jews are the chosen people. That's not the point of that passage. The point of that passage is God has chosen Abraham and his descendants so that everyone will be blessed through them.
Hmm.
And that's part of it. You can't lop it off. They've been blessed so that they will be a blessing.
Right.
And that idea, I think, is what we're called to do. And what's beautiful about this movie is you can critique George a little bit and say, man, you also need to kind of think about your family, and you need to think about yourself, and you don't always have to lay down on the tracks for everybody else. But at the same time, that instinct is what, if more people had that instinct and lived into that instinct, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, when we talk about sin, I mean, what is at the core of most sin is selfishness, right? And so you find almost an archetype here of an unselfish man in George Bailey.
Yeah.
You know, he really is. He puts out for everyone else.
Yeah.
And always puts himself second or third or fourth or whatever,
Yeah. To me, one of the most powerful scenes in the movie is when you have the run on the building and loan, and he gives that wonderful speech where he goes like, the money's not here, the money's in Joe's house and Sally's
Right.
house. And like
Right.
that idea of investing in others is a quintessential aspect of, I think, what it means to be human,
Yeah.
and what I think, what more importantly, what I think it means to be a Christian.
Yeah, and it's interesting that um Mary, Donna Reed's character,
Yeah.
um she you don't know like from the beginning whether she saw that from the beginning because she always seemed to have an infatuation with George.
Yeah.
But in that particular scene where all their honeymoon money ends up going back into the building and loan, like
Yeah.
she just leaves and goes and sets up a place for them
Just
in the
yeah.
old house, you
Because
know.
I was thinking about this. I did not do. I don't know why I love this. It's kind of a probably a weird aspect of who I am, but I love to put in amounts of money I hear in movies and then see what they would be today. And I did not do that. But $2,000 in the 1940s um, would have been a hell of a honeymoon. like, like,
Well, you said that when they were in the cab, the best
you
hotels and
know,
that stuff.
and yeah, the reality that her instincts, you kind of, in that, I feel like in that way you kind of see them trying to communicate why they're a good match. Is her instinct isn't, you're blowing our amazing honeymoon, it's how can I bring a wonderful honeymoon to us, because we're not going to be able to go on the honeymoon we had planned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and again, perfect movie making because it's an absolutely beautiful scene that that whole transition from they keep the building alone open to you know well, she calls on the phone, you
Yeah.
know and Mrs. Bailey's on the phone. He says, no, get my wife on the phone. Mrs. Bailey's on the phone. Oh, Mrs. Bailey, my wife, right? And then
Yeah.
like the whole thing, he had no idea that she was doing all this, and it was just such a sweet um, it's such a sweet scene, and exactly what you're saying kind of shows how they are pretty much made for each other.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
I was interested. I didn't realize it. See, one of the things that is nice about this, what we do here, for me, is I get to take notes on movies now,
hmm
and I get to catch a lot more things, especially movies that I love that I hadn't noticed before.
hmm
Did you ever notice that Potter's slums, in the movie are called Potter's Field, and that is for a reference to, I believe, to Luke, where it talks about Judas dying in the Potter's Field.
It's a reference to a graveyard,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, yeah. So Potter's Field is a graveyard. It's the death of the community.
Yeah.
Symbolically, of course, but
Yeah.
but it's kind of, as you say, it's kind of on the nose, right?
Yeah.
That the name is there. Um, and if you recall, which was cut out of the edition that I watched, in if George had never existed, Bedford Falls would have been Pottersville.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would have taken over everything. George was the only thing that kept it as a community
Yeah.
instead of being, Potter's money machine, basically, right?
Yeah. If you go rent this movie and it doesn't say that check the timestamp, and if the timestamp isn't 2 hours, don't watch it, because you're gonna miss the best part of the movie and the whole point of the movie.
The one on Prime is an hour 46. Okay. So you cut out the 15 minutes that basically explain the whole film,
Yeah.
that basically give you the reason why it's a wonderful life that George lived, you
And
know?
whenever any, and there's been 1,000 of these, whenever a TV show or a movie harkens back to this film, it's to that scene, those scenes of the idea of the life matters. If you
Hmm.
take this person out, the world radically changes. And yeah, it's a really fascinating choice. They decided to cut that out.
There have been, and I could look it up. I did not, but I can think of several off the top of my head, TV
Yeah.
shows and even movies
Yes.
that have done this very thing
Yeah.
of, what would the world be like if you had never existed, right? One
Yeah.
of them was Shrek 3.
Yeah.
The entirety of Shrek 3 is like it's this movie,
Yeah.
you know. Family Guy did an episode, The Simpsons did an episode,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I believe Married with Children did an episode,
Married with Children.
and it proved that everybody's life would be better without Al, and then he decides to go back because he doesn't want their life to be better, which is hilarious.
Which is, yeah, like the opposite, but very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Uh, what else?
Um, yeah, I was. Let me see.
The you mentioned it's just kind of one of the last themes that or scenes that you were talking about, where the ending scene, where the whole town kind of comes together
Yeah,
to rescue George,
yeah.
and um, it it's it really is. It's really like another film that, we could talk about. It's not on my list, but we could talk about Pay It Forward.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that very same idea. Hey, you have blessed us, and now we're gonna return that blessing to you, you
Well,
know?
it's the thing I try to tell people. A lot of people, especially I have found deeply committed Christians that spend a good chunk of their lives serving and loving other people, struggle to get served by other people. And I usually tell them, like, no, you're robbing them of the opportunity that you have been blessed with all your life. Like,
Right.
this is now your season to allow somebody to care for you when you have been caring for them, and
Mhm.
that moment was extremely powerful in the film. That moment's extremely powerful for George, but I would argue it's probably just as much, if not more powerful for everybody in that community,
Right.
because they get to say thank you for what you've done for me. Thank
Right.
you know I can now give you what you have been giving me all these years. you
And
know
there's that sense as well that we don't give um for the benefit of giving.
yeah.
We give because we're called to give. We share because we're called to share. And that the giving in and of itself is the joy, right? Not the I feel good because I gave.
Well, and the powerful idea, I think, of um that we all need each other. Like George needed other people too. Like,
Yeah.
we get to see that at the end, but if we don't get to see that, George is just this kind of archetypal figure that's over on the corner. But because we get to see the fact that the community gives to him in his need, we get to realize that no, this is a circular thing. This is supposed to be something that we pass
Yeah.
on to one another.
I will throw out one of those illustrations that I have used in the past when we talk about stewardship. Now I'm going to use this. Mm, can't even see it. Okay. It said this is a gift certificate, right, for
Yeah,
a local ice cream shop. But if this was a dollar bill, if I hold this in my hand and
yeah,
I hold it tightly,
yeah,
okay, you can't, no one
yeah,
can take it from me, right? It can't be pulled out. But I also can't fit anything else in there,
yeah,
right? Whereas if I hold it with an open hand, well, yes, it might go away,
yeah.
but I also am open to receive as well. And that's that full circle sort of thing. You have to be open to receive and to
There's
give.
there's actually a passage in uh, Proverbs that is basically that illustration. It talks about that you are called to live not with a closed fist, but with a hand open.
Hmm.
And that's the same idea is you can't give or receive if you don't open your hand.
Yeah.
And that risk you losing stuff, but you also can't give and you can't receive from other people unless you're willing to open your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's, is that a lesson that George had to learn as well in the film, do you
Yeah,
think?
I definitely think I think it really completes the movie because it allows us to recognize George was part of the community. He wasn't just the savior of the community
Hmm.
and kind of floating above the community. He was a part of the community, and the community also needed to help him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I can, like I said, I can gush about this film. I really, I really can. I've
no, I
seen
mean,
it enough
yeah,
times. Hey, there's another scene I think to talk about. There's a lot of setup in the beginning,
yeah,
okay, where basically you're getting George's backstory, right?
yeah,
And when he worked for Mr. Gower, the druggist,
mhm.
um, Mr. Gower was um, grieving.
Yeah. He
His
lost
son
his
had died of
son. Yeah,
influenza,
yeah,
right? And George delivered meds for him to the people in the town. And he made up a med, but George realized it was wrong, that it was poison, and that if the people had taken it, the kid would have died.
yeah,
So he tried to go talk to his dad, but his dad was being occupied by Mr. Potter.
yeah,
Which I think there's just a scene with George like confronting Mr. Potter when he's just like a 10-year-old, which was interesting.
yeah,
Um, but then he basically saves Mr. Gower from making a mistake that would have, when we see it, the part that was cut out of the film,
yeah,
Mr. Gower would have just been the town drunk,
yeah,
because he would have lost everything.
yeah,
And again, there's that sense of you never know how many lives you touch,
yeah,
how many lives you alter, how many lives you change, particularly in a positive way.
yeah.
Sometimes you'll never know, but you have to. I mean, what is it? Do we have to just hang on to the faith that we're making a difference, right?
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find the quote. Every man's life touches so many others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, I think that's exemplary of it. You get, I mean, the obvious one, the first scene, George rescues his brother from drowning,
yeah,
and then his brother goes on to, be a war hero and save
yeah,
people in the war.
yeah.
And those people would have died if George hadn't rescued his brother. But Harry Bailey, it's the ripple effect of how many lives you affect that affect others. And, particularly as clergy, I think sometimes you would love to be able to get that feedback. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just want to hear like, hey, my son watched the service online. He got so much out of that sermon that he's going to a local church now, or something.
Yeah, what's the proverb or the saying from? I believe it's a Arabic saying. Um, we are called to plant trees we will never rust under the shade of.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
that idea.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think maybe that's the reward in this film is that George gets to see,
See that? Yes.
he gets to see what those planting those trees has wrought,
Yeah.
and what not having planted those trees would have wrought, which is, I don't know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's again, I'm going to circle back. That's why this is very close to perfect movie making. It
Yes.
really is.
If you've never seen this movie, go see it.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, please,
if do not get the edited version. Get the 2 hour version. The 15 minutes
please.
cut out is important. It's important. It's. Do you think I don't want to go too off track because I know we're running out of time. But
Mhm.
do you think they cut it out because it's sad and they didn't want to make people sad?
I
Or,
I
like,
don't know, but it cuts out the whole meaning of the film. It's just like
does it explain why he's happy, why he's like depressed and then happy? Like, or does it just go
no,
straight
he
from,
just goes from having rescued Clarence
yeah.
to running through the streets happy. I mean, it's so bizarre. It is the most bizarre thing I have ever seen in a film edit. I swear.
It's- well, I'm thinking about all the other, like, I'm thinking about, you could like Shawshank Redemption, you cut out the prison escape scene and he ends up on the beach and you're like, why is he on the beach? Is
Like, same kind of thing. It would be exactly the same kind of thing.
yeah,
So, well, as you mentioned, John, we're getting close to time. We should probably wrap up. We do need to talk about what we will discuss for next week. Now, I did a little research. I
okay,
looked up some, films, just lists of films about generosity and giving and that sort of
yeah,
thing. And of course, there are a number of films that are really interesting along those lines.
yeah,
I don't think I want to throw a whole lot of them out there for
sure,
us to consider, but
yeah,
one that I have never seen,
okay,
but I have heard many, many good things about, and I know has been remade into an American Western,
yeah.
is Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you want to watch that.
You want
That's
to watch?
available on Max and it's on Prime.
Yeah. Do you want to watch the one with Denzel Washington, or do you want to watch the one that was made in the '70s? The Magnificent Seven is what it's called.
The Magnificent Seven is the modern Western, but I'm talking about the Kurosawa film, the black and white.
Oh yeah, are
Uh,
we gonna watch the
from
Kurosawa? I've never watched the Kurosawa film, so yeah,
Okay, well, maybe we should both watch that and take a look at it. It is, I mean, it's basically the same story
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that was turned into the Magnificent Seven.
yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
Kurosawa, I have not seen a Kurosawa film,
Me
but I have
either.
heard
And that
rave reviews.
that is a very that's a side of my movie watching that I have very limited scope in. So yeah, let's jump into Kurosawa. That sounds good.
Okay, so let's watch Seven Samurai.
Where can you find it?
It's on Amazon Prime and
Okay.
HBO Max.
Okay, great.
So either one, I think subtitles, not subtitles. If you
Yeah,
watch the dubbed version, I don't think you're going to lose a whole lot there.
yeah,
Um, and if you have seen the Magnificent Seven, you know the story
yeah,
basically,
yeah.
because it's the same story.
Good.
But yeah, this will be a little bit of a deep dive for both of us.
Yeah,
But it is about, I mean, you know the story. It
yeah,
is about giving and generosity. So.
yeah.
So, all right. So that's going to be our film for next week, friends. We're going to watch Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa. It's a 1939, 37. It's from the 30s.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
We're
So
going old school.
we're
Only movies about gratitude. They all made them in the 30s and 40s.
because nobody has had gratitude since.
The 80s killed it, I guess.
That might be it. The age of greed is good.
Yeah.
No, we are not watching Wall Street. Uh, all right, friends. That'll be all for today. Until next week, keep on finding God in the dark. We will see you all next Friday. Take care and God bless.
Bye.
Oh, hey, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate your support. And friends, if you find anything that's really wonderful or entertaining or helpful in your Christian walk, we want to encourage you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends. We publish every Friday morning at 10 a.m. And we hope that you continue to find these videos and these discussions entertaining and informative. Take care and God bless. Bye.